Well, the U.S. House votes to launch an investigation into federal law enforcement and national security agencies. The Republicans have long signaled to use their power in Congress to scrutinize the government. All the Democrats in the House opposed the investigation, but with a divided House, it was passed on a party line vote of 221 to 211. The House approved the formation of the Select Subcommittee on the Weaponization of the Federal Government. Representative Jim Jordan, a Republican of Ohio and a staunch ally of former President Donald Trump, will lead the subcommittee. Democrats say the point is to undermine ongoing investigations into Donald Trump's misconduct, including around the 2021 assault on the U.S. Capitol, and to create more distractions ahead of the 2024 presidential election. According to Jordan, the aim of the subcommittee is not to target the Democrats or law enforcement officers who have scrutinized Trump's actions, but to protect the First Amendment of the American Constitution. House Speaker Kevin McCarthy pressed probes on topics ranging from the chaotic withdrawal from Afghanistan to the origins of COVID and to the misuse of the FBI. Both Jordan and McCarthy had ignored subpoenas ordering them to testify before the House Select Subcommittee investigating the Capitol attacks. For more on this, we are joined by Mark Marowitz. He's a political commentator and also a professor at State University of New York Maritime College. He's joining us live from New York. Mark, welcome back to WION, and thank you for joining us.
Hi.
So what do you make of all of this? It's kind of unfair for the Democrats to be crying foul at this point, don't you think?
Well, let's look at what the Republicans actually did. They set up really three key committees. This committee, which actually is called Weaponization of the Government, which is a broad mandate to look at everything the federal government is doing, collecting information, what the FBI is doing, civil liberties violations. And interestingly enough, its mandate ends in January 2025, which, if you think about it, they do their investigation, they issue their report before the 2024 election, and it's all politics. There are also two other committees that they set up. Number one was a bipartisan committee to deal with China, strategic competition, Taiwan policy, supply chains, and a third committee to deal with COVID, to look back at COVID, to look back at Dr. Fauci. So there's a whole plan here, plus how they function in the House. It's not just this committee, but it really is payback. It's payback, as you said, for the January 6th committee and for how the Democrats politicized the process and ran it as a one-party government in the House. And now the Republicans are doing just the same with this committee.
And I think what many are wondering is how far will these subcommittees be able to go? And I know that all of them are very different, but let's talk about, for example, the one around the origins of COVID. That's something that's very important to the American public because ultimately many will argue that the Democrats and maybe President Biden himself, they just didn't go far enough in trying to figure out what really happened. So where do these subcommittees ultimately end up with? What do these findings really achieve? And how far can they go in really, solving the problem?
Well, I think that the big problem in general here is how much can you undertake and how much can you investigate, and what are the issues and the priorities. I agree with you that the COVID issue and understanding it better is very, very important, but dwelling on that and bringing in Dr. Fauci and figuring out how the government either did a good job or a bad job with vaccine mandates, to what end? It's all politics, I think. Similarly, January 6th committee, a very meritorious thing to look at, very important to understand how you can have an invasion of the U.S. Capitol, which, by the way, has been copycatted in Brazil. This is a very significant thing, very important, but political, done as a political maneuver. The problem you have in the House, to understand our system, is the House is a majoritarian institution. Whoever has the majority runs the show. very different than the Senate. So here, if you've got that playbook and you run the show, you run it as a one-party government, then I think in a way, yeah, it's true, that's the structure, but you defeat the purpose of getting work done for the American people. Dwelling on the past is valuable, but what about dealing with the problems of the future? And I think that this weaponization committee really is another political ploy, and if you look behind all of it, it's all about Trump. It's all about Trump because the committee is really going to look at how has Trump been treated? How has the FBI treated American citizens, including Trump? And what about his classified documents? Very ironic that Biden had classified documents too. So it goes back and forth in a circle, right? And we never get anything accomplished because we keep on focusing on political polarization. I was looking at a poll. Americans, I think more than 60% of Americans have a low opinion of Congress because they don't think they get anything done. And I think they're actually very accurate. They never going to get anything done if they don't work together. So I think, again, it's more grandstanding. So if you say correctly it's important, these issues are important and COVID, but they'll never get anything accomplished for the American people if they polarize the issues and use payback and revenge to oust people from committees the way the Dems did it, and now the Republicans do the same thing. We go back and forth, and who is the loser? The American people. The winners, there are none.
Well said. Well, Mark, thank you so much for joining us on WION and making sense of all of this. We hope to see you back very soon. There's always more to talk about, notably when it comes to Capitol Hill and Washington.
Thank you.